All right, good morning, ladies and gents. I hope you're all doing good. Let's, the title speaks for itself. What in the heck is going on in the USA? Well, let's check it out real quick. I mean, what is going on? Well, this is something that's never been done before, probably.
U.S. intelligence, or really any intelligence agency today, can frame anyone they want for a cyber attack. We know this from one of the last WikiLeaks releases called Vault 7, where it revealed that among the CIA's hacking tools were the ability to place the fingerprints of adversary states, or really any group they wanted, into hacks that were actioned by the CIA itself. Basically a tool to create cyber false flags for any purpose. And the current CIA director is the person that was in charge of the Carnegie Endowment when they created these papers with the biggest private banks and central banks in the world about a cyber attack in the financial system and how that would push for a merging of data sharing between banks and the CIA and intelligence.
The future isn't just on the horizon, it's already here, and it's far more unsettling than you might think. The essential pieces for a radical overhaul of the global financial system, stablecoins, tokenized deposits, and public-private partnerships are quietly being set into place. But what's missing? A trigger. In a revealing conversation with James Patrick, investigative journalist Whitney Webb warns of a looming threat, which is the central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Once they're fully implemented, the idea of financial privacy may become a thing of the past. Tied to digital IDs, these currencies would allow governments and corporations to monitor every transaction, tracking your every move. Under the guise of protecting against money laundering or fighting terrorism, these systems could enable unprecedented levels of state surveillance over the financial activities of ordinary citizens. What's worse, CBDCs won't replace the traditional banking powers, they'll strengthen them. Institutions like JP Morgan and Citigroup are already making strategic moves with stablecoins and tokenized deposits, positioning themselves at the forefront of this new reality. In short, the future of finance is closer than you think, and it's designed to benefit the powerful while placing your freedom at risk. For further insights into Whitney Webb's conversation with James Patrick, be sure to watch clips from the interview. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more content. Enjoy the video.
It's quite clear that the way to force onboarding of a CBDC is going to be some sort of crisis, some sort of event where people will be made an offer they can't refuse, essentially. Whatever that crisis is that creates the situation where people will have, very little choice but to onboard to this new digital currency system, it could manifest in a number of ways, but regardless of how it manifests, what the narrative is going to be is that privacy is dangerous, anonymity is dangerous, specifically financial privacy is dangerous. Those are going to be the narratives that come out of this event, and that's going to be a way to...
Closing minutes of the fourth quarter.
Whoa. Must be game day.
I am so ready.
Yeah, I can see that. And this
force onboarding both onto digital currency that can be tracked to stop terror financing or things of that nature. And also we have to know who everybody online is, or we have to know who everybody is interacting with these systems. We need digital ID. Well, there's a couple of reasons why I think they'd want to have private banks have like a major role in this digital currency system to come. If there's a private sector entity banking you and managing your money, it's much easier for them to bank you than the federal government. So for example, if the Federal Reserve were to do a direct issue CBDC, it would be harder for them to freeze someone's bank account or debank them in any sort of significant way, as opposed to a private company where you have, for example, precedents where JP Morgan Chase, for example, debanked Dr. Mercola and some of his executives and didn't give any reason as to why. They just said, we can no longer provide you with financial services, no questions asked. That would be very hard to do in the case of a direct issued CBDC. This is something similar to the argument that's been made for social media companies censoring. They say, oh, but
that's the same thing they did to Tony Montana from Scarface, the movie. They refused to take his money. They took so much money, and then they said they could no longer take any more money from him, and they could not finance him, or they couldn't accept his money into the bank. We all remember the movie Scarface, Tony Montana, Meet My Little Friend. So let's continue with this.
They're private companies, so they can restrict speech however they want. But we know now that their restrictions on private speech have been a result of public sector pressure, right? So again, people need to keep in mind that this is a public-private partnership. That's the prevailing model in the United States. The digital dollar in the United States is also going to be a public-private model. You'll have the Fed, the central bank, working with the private banks that own the Fed in the United States. And that will be the partnership between them will be the system. It's not going to be all public. It's not going to be all private. It is a partnership. If the Fed were to do a direct issued CBDC, it would take them a few years to design, experiment, and deploy it. If you're using these existing dollar peg stablecoins, those are already here. They're already on blockchains. And a lot of those phases that would take the Fed a few years have already been accomplished if you choose to use those. And if you regulate them so that they have to, for example, keep their reserves at the Fed, then you're able to sort of have the same kind of system, but you don't have to go through the process of creating a direct issued CBDC. So one of the biggest developers right now of CBDCs is this company called R3 that's backed by some of the biggest Wall Street banks in the world. And they were named by Central Banking Magazine as the CBDC Partner of the Year last year. And then they're developing a litany of CBDCs for countries all around the world. But that's just one part of what they do. They have this thing they call a digital currency accelerator. And the three types of digital currencies R3 develops are CBDCs, stable coins, and tokenized deposits or deposit tokens. And some banks in the US have already rolled out deposit tokens. Citigroup, JP Morgan. JP Morgan actually had a research paper out last year about how CBDCs are inferior to deposit tokens and how deposit tokens are better. So Oliver Gale, who defines himself as the founder of CBDCs, has more recently co-founded a company called Fluent Finance. What Fluent Finance is they attempt to create a trustworthy dollar peg stablecoin that they call US Plus. And it's sort of framed as an answer to dollar peg stablecoins like Tether that have been controversial for having opaque reserves. So the whole thing about US Plus is having trackable reserves in real time and all of this. And so it's an attempt to create a very extremely trustworthy and backed by a consortium of banks, a bank-led US dollar peg stablecoin. So if the inventor of CBDCs is moving into stablecoins, he probably knows that there's something there.
According to Whitney Webb, stablecoins and tokenized deposits are merely a bridge to a darker future where central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, dominate. By keeping banks involved, governments can avoid the backlash of fully nationalizing money while still tightening their grip. This mirrors how crises have been handled in the past, centralizing power under the guise of market competition. Webb foresees an inevitable cyber crisis, whether real or manufactured, as the trigger for this shift. Central banks, alongside the financial giants, will present CBDCs as the solution.
So CBDC, is that cannabis bank diversion control? I'm not sure what they really are doing. Who knows? I don't know. This is crazy. But this is why everyone was saying that this digital money will never work. It's too easy to steal. And it is, folks. It's just too easy to steal your digital information, your digital money. Will that be happening? I wouldn't doubt it if it's already been happening. Right? You wake up one morning, you check your digital money source, and it's shut down. You can't get in it. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty crazy, man. Let's continue.
To the chaos. But there's more at play. The rollout of digital IDs will tie your financial and digital life into one vast surveillance network, leaving privacy in the past. What's promised as financial inclusion will likely only consolidate control in the hands of a few. In the end, it's not about empowerment, it's about stripping away rights, privacy, and the ability to choose how your life is governed. Let's go back to the interview and watch more clips to gain insights from Whitney Webb.
Well, if you look at all of this through the lens of risk management, from the elite's perspective, let's take the words of Larry Fink, for example, of BlackRock, who's been obsessed with risk management his whole career. He has a quote, he's on video saying that the markets do not like democracy. Democracy is messy. They like totalitarian governments because the risk is low. Elon Musk is one of these figures that's trying to sort of position himself as a free speech champion, and one of these figures that's on the populist right. But in reality, a lot of the policies that Elon Musk promotes, like carbon taxes, for example, have traditionally been policies promoted like the World Economic Forum and entities like this that are seen as being globalist and not populist in nature. People forget that Elon Musk is someone whose business has depended to a large degree on government subsidies, and currently a lot of his companies either depend on mass adoption of electric vehicles via policies linked to the Sustainable Development Goals to phase out fossil fuel vehicles, or they are contractors for the Pentagon and intelligence, like SpaceX. I think there's essentially a consensus that some other
Boy, I'll tell you, that little lady's pretty smart. That's exactly what's going on. Is they're pushing this stuff, and there's a lot of people in America that don't believe in this digital money. It's too easy to steal. I don't know what the heck is going on. And now they can blame anybody for it, right? They can wake up one morning and say, it was this guy, because he's on the computer. They're just randomly picking. And is the guy the one that did? No, the guy's an idiot. He couldn't tell you how to hack a computer if his life depended on it. But they'll create it. They use his ID, his IP number, whatever. And then the next thing you know, the guy's world's turned upside down. They throw him in jail, and the madness continues. They look for the next victim. They'll steal another 26 trillion and say, "Oh, well, it was someone else." And this is the madness that the American people are fed up with. The American people are fed up with. The truth is out. It is over for America. It's too gone. They're here on TV today saying we should not have these people owning land around a military base. Your country sold it to them. And now what are you doing? You're Indian givers. Same thing you did to my people. You're sitting here selling this land. You know this land is open around these military bases. Why didn't the government buy that land? If they were so worried about this, why didn't the government buy the land? They didn't. They sold it to other countries. And now they're on the YouTube and on the social media. Yeah, these countries are buying land. Well, we own land in other countries. America owns land in other countries. It's a flip-flop thing. We got Americans over in Europe. We got Americans even in China. We got Americans in own property just like they do here in America. It's all a bunch of crap, people. And let me tell you something else. I like Elon Musk. He's a good kid. He's got an imagination. But she hit it right on the button. Elon Musk would not be Elon Musk without government backing and the taxpayers' money. If he did not have these government accounts, he would not be where he's at right now. So he depends on the USA and uh, the programs they put out for people to get money from the government. It's like a military defense contract. And so many people jumped on board. When we were having the CV thing, people were jumping on board, getting money from the government. Most of these people didn't need the money, but they got the money. Why? Because the money was there. And they didn't have to pay it back. So was that part of it? I imagine so. It's all adding up right now. Let's continue. And believe me, I'm an idiot. Okay, I have a disability. I'm an idiot. But does this make sense to me? Well, sure it does. They're trying to monopolize. They're trying to lock it in where they have full control. You can wake up one morning and be eating your breakfast and drinking your coffee, and the next thing you know, your door breaks in. It's FBI or CIA. Hit the floor. You've been stealing money from the government. And they'll make it look like that. And then what are you going to do? Nothing, because if you ain't got millions and millions of dollars to go against them in court, which you'll string it out, you'll spend your time in jail waiting for your court date. And then by then they'll blame everybody. But this is too risky. And this is why we will not invest. We won't invest in this. The whole thing, the way the country builds. We know each year we're going to have hurricanes. Each year, these towns and people's lives are destroyed. But yet we rebuild right back there. And then every year we're here on the TV watching these people scream that they lost everything. Let's continue.
Some other very significant financial crisis is in the cards for the next several years. And if you are the big banks and you know that's going to happen, you probably want to avoid a scenario like what happened in 2008, where the public knew that you were the source of the malfeasance and the economic problems, which of course spawned movements like Occupy Wall Street. If you want to avoid that, what is the best way to absolve yourself of any sort of blame for mismanaging or losing people's money? If you can say that hackers took it, then you're totally absolved, and whoever the hackers are the ones to blame. And US intelligence, or really any intelligence agency today, can frame anyone they want for a cyber attack. We know this from one of the last WikiLeaks releases called Vault 7, where it revealed that among the CIA's hacking tools were the ability to place the fingerprints of adversary states, or really any group they wanted, into hacks that were actually conducted by the CIA itself. Basically a tool to create cyber false flags for any purpose. And the current CIA director is the person that was in charge of the Carnegie Endowment when they created these papers with the biggest private banks and central banks in the world about a cyber attack on the financial system, and how that would push for a merging of data sharing between banks and the CIA and intelligence. So I think one of the reasons they want this new system that ultimately amounts to a control system is because they see it as the ultimate form of risk management. So you surveil them constantly. You can turn their money on and off. You can turn their access to services and really anything else on and off as well under the digital ID functionality. It's a way to keep people in line in a way that didn't exist in feudal Europe and under that model. But they're clearly moving to that model. And it's interesting because the UN essentially admits that. They talk about the acceleration of the adoption of all these of all this digital infrastructure is exacerbating the wealth gap and making the billionaires even more wealthy. But the billionaires and the bankers are the people that are designing all these UN policies. People, like Mark Carney, Mike Bloomberg, Bill Gates, all of these guys are the ones influencing these policies more than anyone. They admit that they're exacerbating the wealth gap, but we're full steam ahead on these policies anyway. So, I mean, they're obviously going to keep exacerbating it. And a lot of those guys that are designing and maintaining the technology or deciding what it does are going to be in a very different class than the rest of us who are, having this system imposed upon us. We're not the ones designing it. We don't have a stake in the stakeholder capitalism model.
As Bitcoin nears a bullish engulfing pattern for the first time.
Well, I hate to say it, but this little lady is right. They're falling right into the hands of the rich, the madmen. And to where if you say one thing to upset these people, they'll hit a button, send a message to the bank that you bank at, seize all of his assets, and you got no money. Right? And they can do that to any of these people. Is it true? I mean, is this in place already? No, but this has been happening many years, folks. Ever since digital and the internet and computers were created, they were stealing the whole time. Even the people that created the computers and the programs had secret ways to get in, right? Well, look at John McPhee or McAfee or whatever his name is, John McAfee. This guy was so good. He knew they were screwing him and he was going to screw them. And he sold a bunch of computers to the government, but he knew all along what was going on because he created the program. He knew everything. Right? He got one up on the government, right? That's why they got so pissed at him. And he split. Well, God rest his soul, Mr. McAfee's, but he passed away. But yeah, I mean, does it make sense? Sure. They want to create something, which it might be a good thing. Bitcoin, these digital money things might be good. But the way they're setting it up is very bad. Meaning they could take it from you like that. Done, over with. And make it look like it was someone else. That's scary. Oh, it scares the crap out of me. Let's continue.
Time in 18 months, there's growing optimism for its long-term outlook. Yet, this rise also signals potential volatility ahead, echoing Whitney Webb's concerns about the future of finance. With Bitcoin's open interest surging to $35 billion, it's clear that the futures market is playing a significant role. However, despite this surge, flat funding rates suggest that perpetual traders are still hesitant. Webb warns that while Bitcoin's rise reflects market dynamics, it also foreshadows a larger shift, one that could lead to financial systems controlled by a few powerful players. The combination of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, and digital IDs threatens to erode privacy, setting up a future where surveillance and centralized control reign supreme. As institutions tighten their hold on digital assets, Bitcoin's current market movements might just be the beginning of a transformation that sees financial freedoms diminished. With technical indicators hinting at short-term corrections and spot traders aggressively selling into resistance, the future of decentralized finance remains uncertain, dominated by forces far beyond mere market cycles. The question now isn't whether Bitcoin will continue to rise, but what kind of world will be built in its wake. As we wrap up, what do you think about central bank digital currencies? Will they safeguard financial privacy, or are they a gateway to greater control? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video thought-provoking, be sure to share it, give us a thumbs up.
So is any of this true? I don't know. To be honest, I really don't know. I'm not that smart. But I know this much. People say you can't, there is no Bitcoin money. I've gone into, there's a store in this little town, in this little country town that had a Bitcoin machine. I don't know if they still have it now or not. I'm going to check tomorrow. They had a Bitcoin machine, and I walked in there and I said, "Can I buy that Bitcoin? Does it give me money back? Right? Does it give me a gold coin or whatever that they're showing on?" And she's like, "No, there is no money. It's all digital." I'm like, "So I don't get a gold coin. I put $50 in, I get a coin that's gold or whatever." And she started laughing. She's like, "No, no, it's just a piece. It's digital. There is no money." I'm like, "Well, can I touch this money? Is there actually gold Bitcoin coins and dollar bills?" And she's like, "No." I said, "Well, what do you do?" She's like, "Put your money in. You can buy Bitcoin. You get a receipt or whatever." And I'm like, "What? What?" So I didn't do it. I didn't do it. But what I'm seeing in this is exactly what it another currency. So if the US dollar crashes, our new currency will be Bitcoin, right? All digital, meaning anyone underneath the sky can steal your money. And they can steal your money right now, even in a bank, right? You can get dress some guy up that looks like him and give him you know, your name or whatever, and they can go in and act like you. I mean, they already steal from us, uh, and they're regular banks, right? They steal from the banks, whatever. Sometimes the banks have no clue, right? They have no clue what happened because here in a small little town, we just go to work. We're not computer whizzes. We're just people doing a job. And one day you go to work, and the next thing you know, you're getting calls from people. My account's empty. I never use it. What's going on? Where did it go? Because people can make up fake businesses. Meaning, if you have automatic withdrawal from a business, someone could create the same business and withdraw out of your checking account before the real business, electric company, power company, whatever it is, water bill, garbage bill, can take that money out, disappear, make it look like before the real company takes the money out of your bank, right? And it shows up as the real company taking the money out of the bank, but yet you're shorted, right? We're starting to catch on to it, and I'm dumb. I got scientists and doctors that said this kid's dumber than a doornail, right? But they call some kind of a ADD or some kind of a special retard powers I have or something. I don't know what it is. I don't. I could barely walk anymore. I could barely do anything anymore. I become much like Stephen Hawkins. I have to use my brain, and that hurts because I don't have much brain left. But is all this possible, what they're saying? Yes, very possible. Very possible that they're trying to control everything. Who's rich and who ain't rich? You piss somebody off higher up, they push a button, your bank account's closed. Your whole world has been stolen, which our whole world has already been stolen. All of our social security numbers, all of our banking, somewhere over in Little Dang Dong, someone is already me. They're not going to tell you the truth, but it is the truth. Hell, we got people that have been dead for hundreds of years that are voting. Explain that, folks. How did Mr. Johnson, born in 1902, end up voting? He's been dead for 100 years. I don't. Excuse me. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I'm dumb. I'm broke down. I'm broke. An idiot. But is it possible? It sure the heck is. It sure the heck is. It sure the heck is. People laugh at me when I say your computer got hacked. Impossible. We're this, we're that, we're a company. You got hacked. And we're going to show you got hacked. And we're going to show you that the money's missing from a hacker, which wasn't even a hacker. It was some big dog that can create this. And we all know if the paperwork shows it, it must be real. Here's the data right here. Right? Look at Mr. Kramer. Right? If the paper's real, you must be queer or whatever they say. I don't know, quit or whatever it is. You know, I don't know what these people are trying to do, but is that possible? Yes. Very possible. And that's how they've gotten away with most of this stuff, is because we're so dumb. We're going against everything they want. We're not queer. We're not cross-dressers. We're straight men. We love women. Right? We only know one way of making money, and that's the honest way with our hands and hard labor. Right? This is just another diversion, I say, or another. You know, if Bitcoin and all this digital stuff is real, and it could be real, it could be good, but I don't like the part where they're controlling it. I don't like that. We are controlled enough in America as citizens, as working people. I have always said this because I was raised around working men. Nothing was given to us free. If you wanted something, you had to work for it. No one died in my family with billions of dollars and left it to me like most of these people have. They never grew up digging a ditch or swinging crap at a stable or any of this stuff, or building a concrete wall or building a house or paving roads or building bridges and skyscrapers. Family member died and left them billions, and that alone made them think that they were geniuses and above everybody. No one is above the law, and no one is above God Almighty, King of Kings. So am I interested in Bitcoin? Yeah, if I can see it, if I can touch it, if I can smell it. Yes. I'm not interested if it's just a bunch of numbers on paper and it's easy access to be hacked. I'm not interested in your money. We're not investing. It's too much of a risk. Unless you got millions to counteract these hackers and these people from stealing your money, and that's about what it would take, because you would have to stay above these people. You would have to stay in front of these people to make sure they're not stealing your money. I'm not so sure about this whole currency thing. And them pushing this Bitcoin proves more to me every day that the scientists and the professional guys are telling the truth. America is screwed. It's over. They're so broke, they're trying to invade countries to take it over so they can take their stockpile, their money, their weapons. It all makes sense. They're putting tariffs on everything. Everybody knows that if they tariff a country that is supplying America with goods and they raise the price on that country to do business here, that country is going to raise the prices on the product. Who will end up paying for all this madness? God help us, the American citizen. Our taxes will go up, gas and everything, food, everything has. And no one can do anything because these tariffs have been put on. They can act. They can act like this is horrible. This has got to come down. We should not be paying $6 for eggs and gasoline and all this and everything. But they all knew. You tariff a country, they got to make their money. They're a business. They're going to raise the prices. In the long run, who pays for it? The American citizen. The American citizen. Now, there might be truth to that. All I'm doing is using my right as an American citizen to voice my opinion. Is any of this true? I have no idea. I am just voicing my opinion. The last thing we have left that is free in America. They know that. That's why they want to say, and all these bigwigs, we will not do away with freedom of speech, but we will steal every dang thing you got. But we will not take your freedom to speak against anything. It's freedom of speech as we rape and pillage and steal everything. And that's what I get out of it. That's what most of us people from the streets get out of it. You folks behind gated communities probably are not too worried about it. You folks with millions of dollars, even $1 million, probably is not worried about anything right now. Believe me, I've been there. When we're doing good, we don't give a crap about no one. When we got buttloads of money, who cares? Keep the money flowing. When you're broker than a joker, then you open your eyes and you're like, holy crap. And that's what happened to me. God bless you, people. We will be back to voice our opinion because that's all we got left, Mr. President. Whoever's running the show in this country, Congress, Senate, whoever, that's all we got left is our right to voice our opinion. Now, could I have been a rich man? I could have wiped this country out 10 times over, took all your money, and been king 20 times over. But I'm not a bully, I'm not a tyrant, and I ain't a dictator. And I believe you make what you make. I believe in an honest trade. I believe in honest work. I don't believe in ripping people off to get to the top. This whole country is starting to become built on people that steal ideals, music, movies, anything. And if they can put it out before you do, then that proves it's theirs, right? We put it out first. I don't know. God help us all. These are just my opinions, my scenarios. Does it matter? No, it don't matter. I'm an idiot. Got one foot in the grave already. Everything I own is second store or garage sales or thrift stores or garbage. Stuff people threw out that they didn't want. Well, I've been there, guys. They want me. Am I poor? I'm poor, but they want me to live like it. They want me to look like it. They want me to smell like I'm poor. They don't want me to live like I'm living right now. Glass chandeliers and gold chandeliers and clocks and 74-inch Mitsubishi DLP TV. This was all stuff bought or stuff people threw out. And I ended up taking home, cleaning up, taking apart and fixing. If I didn't buy it from a store that was cheap. Hell, even the pawn shop. Folks, make sure you check out your local pawn shop in Angola, Indiana, the money source, where you can get loans and buy cheap stuff. You folks have a great day. God bless you all. Does this country need God? This whole world needs God. We ain't buying nothing until this madness is over. Excuse me. You've been watching the Johnny Kramer music, movie, extravaganza. We do it all here, folks, because we ain't got nothing left. It's all been stolen. We would love our souls back, right? You're going to give us our freedom of speech, and you're going to give our souls back and our health if you're going to steal all of our money. Right? I'm starting to get, that's why God said, give unto Caesar what was Caesar's. Take it, scumbags. But you'll never get our souls. You'll never get our lives. So give us our souls back, and we'll keep our freedom of speech, and we'll just carry on. That's what we did. That's what we did back in the olden days. You folks have a good day. God bless. All glory goes to God. I'm going to do a wildlife feeding of the squirrels now. Now, pretty soon I might have to eat them squirrels. I don't know.